So welcome, Victor.
Thank you.
So lovely to have you here. So grateful to have you here. Thank you for coming to Regen Week. Thank you for coming to Tulum and blessing us with your presence and the work that you're doing. So we're here and we have a beautiful audience watching us and learning more about regeneration and your true inspiration in the field. Can you tell a little bit to the audience what is, just a little bit more about yourself, Victor Vorsky, and just maybe share a little bit about your organization, what you're doing, just to introduce, and then we'll go deep into regeneration now, just finding out a little bit more about what regeneration is for you, but after the introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Victor. I live in Portugal. I've been in Portugal for 6 years. Before that, I've lived in many different places. I identify as from Earth, maybe European if you want to really put me down, but I spent a long time in Japan and it's definitely one of my spiritual homes. So in the regenerative space, I'm working on two key things now. One is building a village in Portugal, Ericeira, 45 minutes north of Lisbon, beautiful location. Going on that whole real estate community and that wild journey which so many people here are on, a lot of learning. And I'm organizing a festival, conference, gathering, a new form of coming together for the regenerative ecosystem. As the ecosystem, regeneration is about reinventing and rethinking many things. I think rethinking how we gather and how we come together is a key part of that. And I can talk more about it, but it's a festival, conference, trade show, gathering, all of those things in one. And I wanted to, and it's co-created, it's bottom-up and all of this. So I just wanted to really make clear that the things today I say about regeneration, it's my personal opinion. It's not the official opinion of the Gathering of Tribes organization, because the Gathering of Tribes is we're trying to be very strong about not being dogmatic about anything and inviting people into conversation.
Beautiful.
So it's my personal opinions.
Beautiful, which is an essential part of regeneration, and I believe that we all need to look into. Thank you for sharing. What does regeneration mean to you? When you hear the word regeneration, that has now, it's a buzzword, right? We started about, first it was sustainability, and still, we still have the sustainability ingrained into many things that may not even be sustainable. There's a lot of greenwash. Now you have going into regen wash. So it's just being used in all different aspects. And so, but we've also seen something, especially in these interviews, that there are so many different meanings for different people about what regeneration is about. And to me, they have actually all made sense so far. So I'm very curious to understand what regeneration means for you in your perspective and in your life and in your work and how you're embodying it.
So for me, regeneration means to keep on asking the question, what is regeneration?
I love that. That's wonderful.
And it might sound facetious, but I actually do mean it. It's a koan. And what it means to me is that regeneration is a process. It's a journey, not a destination. Anything, the second we try and put it into a box or write it down into a fixed kinds of thing, sooner or later that's not going to be the right answer. I'm a huge believer in good questions, and good questions last forever. The ones that Greek philosophers left us, they're still valid.
I love the chat that you started keeping the conversation flowing. So.
Yeah. So for me, actually, it's more interesting if we both share the same question, but we have different answers.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wow, we're both coming from the same ethos, and you think regeneration is this, for me it's this, like, there's a difference. If we both have the same answer, it's nice, it's validating, but it's not generative.
That's exactly, you just mentioned a key aspect. I mean, for me, and again, and thank you for saying it's a journey. For me, I have been like, this is regeneration, and very kind of straight and like what I thought it was. And then I have learned so much in this journey that I'm, expanding my views. And I'm like, no, this is, there's so many different aspects to it. But you just mentioned something that is key, at least in, for example, in land-based projects and the work and the community that you're working on, is being able to look at those different perspectives that everybody has as to it relates to a project. So you cannot expand the potential with also regeneration is expanding the potential of a project and expanding the potential of whatever you're working on. And bringing those different questions together from different people, from different perspectives, from different stakeholders. So that's a key aspect of regeneration right there that you just mentioned, is keep asking the questions. And so thank you for bringing that up. I think it's completely aligned. And so in your work today, tell us a little bit about what I would say what regeneration.
Can I
Yeah.
before we go to that,
Yeah.
can I add
Yeah.
one more thing?
Yes,
The other
please.
thing, because as part of the gathering, we've done questioning regeneration series.
I like that.
And
Awesome.
trying to generate the questions. And one thing that came to me is regeneration is a feeling.
That's true. Very true. I mean,
I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm a man. For me, feelings are for feeling, not for talking about. So just learning how to...
vulnerability is also that's where we go into the vulnerability aspect
So
of
just
regeneration.
learning to talk, but I think it's an interesting, because there is something, right? When it's regenerative, you can feel it, right?
Yeah,
You can feel it,
100%.
right? You can feel it.
And when it's
So
degenerative as
what
well.
is that feeling? It's an interesting idea. I'm starting to play with it.
And I think it's also about, you can also feel when it's degenerative. So when it's regenerative, I mean, it's the emotions. I mean, it feels good. It feels life affirming. It either feels life affirming or it feels non-life affirming. And so it's a good feeling or a negative feeling. So thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for all the questions. So tell a little bit more about your Portugal project. About you have the land-based project that you're working on in Portugal as well at the moment. You just mentioned 45 minutes away from Lisbon, and maybe your journey into going into that. We can share with the audience here.
Yeah, so we're working, it's 38 hectares of land, we're 4,000 square meters buildability, we're going through the planning process because it's going to be a fairly big project. It needs the investment, which means it needs to be all legal. Also in Europe, and especially as a foreigner in another country, legal is the only way of doing it. So we're going through that process. I think an interesting thing that we've arrived at, what I think is definitely worth sharing, is need to really think carefully of, for a land-based project, how you organize and design the design team. I think of it as design, build, nurture, right? Because there's all of the
Design,
steps,
build,
right?
nurture.
What is the regenerative team? The standard way to build a real estate project is an architect comes in, they make a design, then they hire some people, and then, a few years later, the landscape designer comes, and a few years after that, the gardener comes with the plants, and they're like, the budget is all going, and they're like, okay, whatever, we'll put a lawn here and 2 palm trees, we're done. But that's clearly not regenerative. There's also the whole idea of metrics, right? I think it's really important. We can talk about regeneration, it's all really nice and happy, but investors and the world at large is like,
metrics.
okay, show us some numbers.
Yes, thank you.
It's hard, but I think we have to engage with this, so we do come up with some metrics. So I found some amazing metrics people, but they need to be there from the start of the process. Biophilic design, landscape, how you work with this. So I think you need to really think through carefully how you put together the team, who's at the table of the start, what are their roles, right? I think it needs to be a circle, not the usual pyramid with an architect at the top.
100%.
Which is very challenging, of course, for architects that are used to be sitting at the top of a pyramid.
Very much so.
But I think that's a key learning we've come to. Yeah. And then the other key learning is, like it or not, real estate means money. So need to have the,
it needs to make sense
it
in
needs to
ROI
make
terms for
sense financially, and I'm sorry, but if you're coming to a real estate project with a negative attitude towards money, you're either A, not going to succeed, or B, you're going to be miserable, most likely both.
Beautiful.
So just accept it and either find the right people who can make the abundance flow for your project, or just accept it and do it yourself.
That's major key points there that you mentioned. I love all of them, and coming from a background of real estate from 20 years of my life. I've been working in the real estate environment for 20 years of my life, and then started in regenerative development projects, or regeneration, if you will, 3 years ago. Everything is so much in alignment. You mentioned something about the design, build, nurture. And I'm in my own journey of regenerative development projects. I've been learning the integrative design process as a part of what I'm weaving into my projects and how we work at Smart Green Group. And so can you share a little bit more about what your process is and when you are engaging with, that design team, the community for a land-based project, and how, what that design, build, nurture project is, and choosing the people, choosing the actor. That's so important. I think in the way our approach, and I like to say our approach because I'm learning so much about all the different approaches, and I'm really, really enjoying, seeing where there's things that are overlapping and things that are just different and that I can learn from. I think that's also a part that's regenerating me. But yeah, how are you going about that? The integrative design process, you choose kind of everybody, all of the stakeholders, all of the actors in the projects are there up front. How are you envisioning the process that you are working with in your project?
So, maybe the first key thing in our project is built along exit to community lines.
Okay.
So there is a project team. You can call it developer-led if you like. So we're the development team. Mm-hmm. And then the goal is to exit to community. I really, looking at the world, business, starting all kinds of projects, communities are really shitty at innovation. It's just not what communities are good at. There's a reason why design by committee is a derogative term. But communities are really great at keeping things going for the long term. Mm-hmm. So whilst small groups of tight project teams, visionary leader or a highly aligned team are really good at innovation, but are not good at keeping things for the long term. And by long term, I mean hundreds of years. So how can we combine both models? And that's where I think exit to community is a good combination. You get this high concentrated focused team, which gets rewarded for their work at the start. But in the long run, the goal is to hand over to the village owns the village and the community owns the land.
Beautiful.
So that's the model we're working towards, and we're still in early stages, like pre-planning, but our goal is to create a design team that has a biophilic expert and impact metrics experts with a great regenerative designer, architect, and planting nature experts all together from the start. Right now, effectively, all work is remote one way or another. Yes. So we want to start with a retreat, like a 3-4 day retreat to bring the team together.
Feel the land.
Yeah.
Feel the land. Beautiful.
And I think this is a key thing with regeneration and also in many ways with the new technologies that allows us to work much more human way.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
And the connection is
coming together as a group, as a team, cooking together, eating together, washing dishes together.
That's what makes the community.
Yeah, really it makes the community, but it also makes any team, any connection,
everything.
Right?
It's that is going into that deeper connection where you can actually really, get to know each other truly, because technology is wonderful, but at one point when you're face to face and you really connect at that level, it's really, I think, when things become real and authentic. So thank you for that. And I'm excited to continue to follow your work and learn more about your projects.
Thank you.
Just want to, ask you, like, how do you, and with your life and your day-to-day basis, if you will, and outside of the work, like, just to close out a little bit, how are you embodying regeneration in your life? And I mean, like, maybe when the word came into your life, the word regeneration, and how, that affected and you're embodying it into your life.
So for me, regeneration was like this final, like an aha moment of finally I found my tribe. Because I've been, along my journey, I spent time investing money in new economic systems, learning about new learning systems, new ways of building organizations, connection to nature. And it all kind of always felt like I was either schizophrenic or unfocused until suddenly regeneration came and I have an umbrella under which all of my interests fit. So I was like, beautiful. Yes, I have found it. And I really love this combination of the energy that, at least for me, regeneration is, if you want to talk about spiral dynamics, whatever, it's teal. It's like, we're visionary, we believe in a better future, but we're also here to get shit done here and now.
Yes. Yes.
So that balance of, yes, more beautiful future, we build utopia for all, but like in the next 2 days, what are we going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Make it tangible. You know, it cannot remain aspirational. We have to get to the work and get it going and make it real, manifest it. Thank you so much for bringing that up. That's so important because a lot of these projects tend to stay in an aspirational stage, and that's not what we're looking for here.
And in my life, I mean, I think it's very early stages, so I have no idea what regeneration is. I hope to continue asking the question.
We're all learning.
But just even having that awareness, whether in a partnership or relationship or work, of like, that's not regenerative.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, it's
Yes,
the same
so
thing as
important.
with, for example, nonviolent communication, which I studied. I'm crap at it, but just the awareness that communication can be violent, and having this as the vocabulary between me and my wife, and being able to say like, no, wait, that was violent.
Yeah, yeah, and it starts there. I mean, I can go down the loophole of how I got in a Regenesis course that I thought was technical, and all of a sudden I'm going and transforming myself first. So I don't want to go into that loophole maybe at another moment, but do you have any last minute thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience here for Regen Week, and last things before we close out the interview?
Let's reinvent, and as part of that, let's reinvent and rethink how we gather. Because the festivals and our gatherings are very, very important place to prototype the society that we want to create. Whether you come together for a few hours or a few days, you have the opportunity for that time to live this idealized society. It will not come globally during our lifetimes, likely. But that time that we gather, we have the opportunity to practice it. So let's be conscious of that and use it with intentionality.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. So lovely to meet you, and I look forward to continuing the conversations. Thank you to the audience, and Victor, talk to you soon.
Hopefully see you in September in Portugal.
I would love to. I was in Lisbon and I fell in love with it, so I will be happily go back to Portugal anytime.
Wonderful.
So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.